Welcome to Uncorked and Unscripted, the podcast and video series that gives you VIP access to the unscripted stories of people I've met through events. In this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted, insurance agent by day, Instagram influencer by night, Terra Koupal joins us to discuss life as a mom of two sets of twins, remodeling her dream home, and how she accidentally grew a social media following of 20,000 followers and counting. Now uncork your favorite beverage and listen up as we spend the next half hour unscripted. Hello and welcome back to Uncorked and Unscripted. I am your host, Addie Graham Kramer. Today I've got two lovely ladies joining me. First, we've got Ariana Mount, our producer of the podcast, as well as our communications manager at the event company. Welcome, Ari.
Thank you.
And we also have my dear friend, Terra Koupal, who I have known for a little over a decade. We actually started our companies around the same time. So welcome, Terra.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
So Terra, for those who are listening and may not know, you're an insurance agent in the Sioux Falls area, but you've kind of found yourself in this Instagram influencer role. So I kind of want to learn your background of both of those and how you kind of got started in both of those roles.
Yeah, so I became an insurance agent in 2013. My grandfather was an insurance agent. He was a district manager and then a state director for the same company that I work for. And my uncle Pete was also an insurance agent and then a district manager. My uncle Pete is actually the one who really was the guiding light for me to become an insurance agent. He would reach out to me periodically throughout college and post college and just said, I think you'd be a really good fit for this industry. And I was like, I don't really want to be an old stuffy insurance agent. I don't like to golf, not into the whole, I just don't feel like it's my vibe. And he was like, no, it's more than that. There's so many opportunities and it's really about relationship building and connecting with people. And I think that you're really great at that. And he just kept on me. He would just kind of put little bugs in my ear every so often. And then when I was making a move from the center of the state back to Sioux Falls, I decided to take that leap and pursue my career in insurance. So it's been kind of a whirlwind since then. I can't even believe it's been almost 12 years since I started. And every year I learn something new. Every day I'm learning something new, which is awesome. And we have a really great team. We are now in Sioux Falls and in Harrisburg. And then we also just recently opened up a Parker location. So we're moving and shaking. Yeah, it's good.
I was just going to ask you on the influencer side of things. I know that's such a, I don't know, there's always interesting words for the word influencer, but social media, I don't know if it comes easy to you, Terra, or it just happened. But you have taken, I think, social media by storm, which is great, and you love it. So I want to hear more about the background of that piece.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. We don't think of ourselves, I don't think of it that way at all. Like the influencer, just like you said, the word, I don't exactly know. I don't feel like we're influencing anything, maybe, but it's just more of it's our life and what we're doing on a regular basis, which is so fun and easy, sharing what the kids are doing, what we're doing. We love all the things. We'll get into the house stuff here, but the house, that was by happenstance, and we're always sharing about that. And the kids are involved in our travels and what we like to do on a regular basis is it's fun to share for us.
And Terry, you and I first connected, I think around this time last year when I reached out to you to be part of one of our influencer campaigns for an event, the Dairy Dash, which was fun to have all your kids there. But I know you and Addie go back way before that. When did you two meet?
I think it was right when I started the company or right around that same time frame. So you launched, you said 2013, is that right? Is that what you said, Terry?
Yeah.
2012?
Yeah.
So I was around 2013 as well, that October. So we might have met maybe 14, maybe it was shortly after. But I think I remember specifically meeting you. We were at Canfield Business Interiors at that time, Canfield Business Interiors, which is now just Canfield, downtown Sioux Falls. And we, over a lunch hour, there was it was called R&R Group. I completely forgot that it was called Revenue and Referrals, but I just remembered R&R. And it was all ladies, right? Were there any men in that group? Or was all women?
Business.
All women.
Yeah, all women in business in Sioux Falls. Yeah.
And a lot of them still have their companies still to this day, which is great. I met Dr. Ashley Path through there. I met Amy Hoback through there, Carrie Popham, like so many of those women I'm still friends with to this day. I know you are as well, but it was a group that we were all just new, not just all of us were new into business, just in business and just trying to help each other's businesses grow.
Yeah, it's such a great group of ladies and entrepreneurs, and just like the ins and out, like there's so many ups and downs as business owners, and especially on the female side of things, like the males, I think it's similar, but then when you can have that group of women that are going through similar things or struggling with certain things, be able to talk through that, it's a huge benefit to our community to have that group of women.
That group, is it still going on? It's not, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
It is?
It totally is. It absolutely is.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah.
Same group?
So same group, some different women in the group, but yeah, it's so good. So good.
Wow, interesting. So that's area. Yeah. So we've known each other a long time. And then I think just run in somewhat similar circles. We've got friends in different circles and we're at different events together. We'll see each other at. And I think we've been grateful over the years, Terra, that your support at some of our events, which is great. And whether we're snapping pictures at a photo booth or wherever, I know we'll probably dive more into that today, but we're excited to have you join us here today. But I've known you a long time and you let loose, which is great, but you're also, I think, such a big supporter of so many things in the community. And we're going to get more into some of those things here later today. But before we dive more into the passion pieces and all about Terra and the family and James and the kiddos, I usually like to start every episode off by talking a little bit more about the uncorked part of the unscripted before we get into the unscripted piece. But I want to know, if you were a drink, what kind of drink would you be and why?
The very first thing I thought of was a cup of coffee. I think that I'm usually like, I like to sit back and like kind of like hang and like kind of watch all the things happen. And then like I'm so much full of energy. Like I'm constantly like doing all the things and moving and shaking. So like I feel like as you're like drinking your coffee, that like kicks in, and then I always want to like connect people. Like I always want to be the one to like, so then I feel like you're sitting over a cup of coffee, you're talking with people, you're connecting, you're like coming up with all these ideas. I don't know, that's probably too in depth, but that's what came to my mind.
I can see it.
I don't think it's too in depth. It's real.
Are you a hot cup of coffee or a nice coffee?
I'm a hot coffee.
I'm
a hot
yes.
coffee girl.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I can see it. Mm-hmm.
Me too. I do the extra hot. So like if I do a latte, it's extra hot, and I will usually have them make it at like 180 degrees. If not, if they go higher, it'd be awesome. I know.
Her coffee order is very specific.
Very specific.
Down to the degree of
and I will tell you, some baristas will make it and some won't, because I think it's obviously probably a danger.
Yeah, it's like a liability. They're gonna have to sign a waiver.
But yeah, the hotter the better for me. I love it. And I will drink also on the other side though, I will drink coffee that has been sitting on my desk probably with creamer for like in 2 days. Is probably not good either.
Yeah.
So the time of day that I drink coffee, warm coffee, is also my time to like just like hang before I take care of everybody else in my life and my clients.
Yeah.
So it's like my total chill time. Like I can just like do what I need to do, like thought process wise, to just like get ready for my day.
Okay. Speaking of chill, you have a busy life. So I want to know, just to share with our viewers, tell us about your family dynamics, your husband, the fitness side of things. Why don't you just start there and just tell us a little bit about the fam and the kiddos and all the stuff? Because you are a busy mama.
I think like all of us, like we're all just busy in our own ways, and you just kind of do what you do to make things happen. But yeah, so James and I have been married, it'll be 10 years in December this year, which is awesome. We have
congratulations.
Twins. Thank you. I'm planning a really fun vacation. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but hopefully we can go and do that.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. So we have 2 sets of twins. Harlow and Lewis just turned 8 last week. And then the younger set, the littles, Granby and Davy, they turned 5 last week. So we spent the week in Disney World for their birthday, which was so fun.
Yeah.
We went through IVF to have the kiddos. So that was a whole other journey and James and I have some like it's all ups and downs, but we have some really funny moments, like looking back that we went through as a couple that like it's so awkward and uncomfortable and wonderful. And like our stories and our journey is beautiful now that we're on this side of it. But it's just like it's an interesting thing to go through as a couple. But anyway, so we have the two sets of twins. We have two dogs, Finley and North. North, our new puppy, is really keeping us on our toes. But we have James and I both own our own businesses, so that's really great. We connected in that capacity. He owns a fitness center, and then I have my insurance agency. And we accidentally started remodeling our houses. The first house that we moved into, we remodeled top to bottom. And then it kind of snowballed. Like we sold that house and moved into our next house. And then we remodeled that one. And then we sold that house. And then, so it's just kind of one of those things that has been a passion for us.
Yeah.
And we like to do it.
I don't think you could say accidentally, though, right? You can't say accidentally.
Like we just see, well, maybe I see the vision and then he's the doer. Actually, that's it with all things. Like he's like, let's bring it down a notch. And I'm like, he's the doer. So, but
you're like Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Oh, on a very small level. I love them. They're so funny. And like demo day, like James will watch it and he's like, it's demo day today. So yeah, it's really fun for us. And the kids, like we let them be involved as much as they want to be involved in the process when it comes to the remodels. Like they remove so much wallpaper at this current house that we're in. They're like, they got done and they're like, what are we doing now? We don't have any more wallpaper to remove. So like we're painting. It's time to paint.
I remember I don't know what you were putting up here just recently. And I shouldn't say just recently, it might have been over a month ago, but I don't know if it was like in a washroom area or like a laundry space, but were you putting, it was like green stuff on, or like, were you painting or what was that on the wall? Like you were, yeah. But I saw that they were involved with it, which I think is great. I think it's awesome to get the kiddos involved. We, even from our side, so my husband owns a construction company and then us with our events. I mean, we try to get the kids involved as much as we can, and they have in various stages over the years, but I think it teaches them a lot of things, whether it's from the work ethic side of things, but also you can get messy and have fun while you're doing it. So I think capitalize on some of the energy that they've gotten. If they want to continue to rip wallpaper off the walls, let them.
Yeah.
When it's supposed to be, I should say, right? When it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, some of our friends, I'm sure you would agree with this. Like some of our friends were like, how can you let your kids like paint the walls? I'm like, it's totally fine if they drip, we just wipe it up, or we just paint over it anyway. So I don't know. It's interesting because I'm not a crafty mom. One of my friends, Julie, I was talking with her about this. I'm not a crafty mom, so it takes me a lot to like get outside of my head to like do a craft project. Like it's so messy and it's everywhere. And there's some moms who can like sit down with like the popsicle sticks and all the things. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But my friend Julie was saying, but you like have like a giant craft project. Your house is a giant craft. Like you let your kids do that just on a bigger capacity. And I'm like, but that doesn't, I don't know. It seems like I think it's a bit easier process for whatever reason. So
I feel like though you're teaching them more like life skills, like how to put up and remove wallpaper, versus just like gluing popsicle sticks together. Yeah. I saw you posted something about like some party, like you guys were hosting something and had people over and your kids were like putting candles on the table and like setting it all up to be able to host. So I just think that that's amazing that you're teaching them those things that a lot of kids that age wouldn't know how to do.
Yeah. Like I just think like we're doing all these things, but when they come home, I'm always telling them to like, the way you make people feel when they come into your house, or the way you make people feel on a regular basis is so, so important. Like we talk about that all the time. And whether or not they're hearing me or they're doing the things, you hope that your kids are, but like you want them to have a place where they can come home and feel comfortable. But it's a mess, but it's okay. That's how someday I'll miss the mess, right?
So were you at home? Like, do you feel like you're the hyper mom of like, if it spills, it's like the end of the world? Or are you the one where you just said just a few minutes ago, like you just wipe it up and go?
Like, also, I feel like my kids, I want them to be more self-efficient. So I'm always like they should clean it up. So like, I'm like, you need to clean that up. Like so I feel like I'm hyper in the fact I'm like, you got to take care of that right away. So it doesn't like create more
Ruin.
problems. Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
I want them to be more self-sufficient. Like Granby, our 5-year-old, like he will make our breakfast in the morning. Like he's making sausages and eggs in the morning type of thing. There's other things that they're not doing great at, but like I want them to be able to like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
something happens, like I want them to be able to be self-sufficient and do the thing. So yeah.
Well, I think like what Ari said, I think though that helps teach them though a lot of things about just life in general. I know with our boys too, they've been doing laundry for as long as I can remember, truly. Like they know how to put the soap in and how to fold their laundry and how to put things away and how to do different chores around the house. And we've taught them, but I have other friends who are like, oh my gosh, your 14-year-old does his own laundry. And for us, we're like, yeah, they've been doing it for 5 years. I don't know how many years, you know? And so for us, I think it's, teaching them valuable life skills, but also the dependency upon themselves to make it happen, but also how to be independent and how to be able to take the initiative. Or you have dirty clothes. The other day, Drew's like, you and I sometimes will be an enabler where I'm like, oh, I'll just do it because there's a pile of it. And he has a basketball game and they've got this and they've got that. So I'm just going to help. And Drew will say, you're not helping them. He's like, what would help them is if they have to wear dirty clothes then the next day and they have nothing, because then they realize like, oh gosh, I should be doing these things. And for me, it's hard. And our boys are older than your kiddos. So it's just a little bit different. But for me, I'm like at 14, I just still want to do his laundry sometimes, but I'm
No,
trying to not and just teach them the ways.
it's tricky. It's kind of like there's no balance, but it's kind of like well, someday, like pick your battles kind of thing. But also like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's certain days where I'm like, don't have the patience for it. I'm like, I'm doing it because I want it done right. And like the other times I'm like watching them,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's fine. I
Yeah.
don't know. So maybe a combo of both.
A bit different combo, but can you talk to us a little bit about the journey with the kiddos and how long your process with IVF was? Like, tell us about like the funny things, like you were just mentioning before. Like there were some funny moments in there. I'm sure it's a roller coaster of emotions. I've had friends that have gone through
Mhm.
IVF, and most of them have been successful, some have not been. But talk to us a little bit about what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, I think for us, like I was advanced maternal age when I got pregnant, especially with the second set. Holy buckets! It's a geriatric pregnancy on there, but I had with the first set.
What does a geriatric consider?
This
Like what age
you're
is that
over
at?
35. I think it's 35 or maybe it's 34 that it said it
Wow.
in my chart.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well,
yeah, that ought to make you feel a certain way. But so when we started, the whole process, there's a lot of testing and it's a lot of, well,
sure.
maybe it's this, maybe it's that, like all the things, and you try not to place blame, and just every month it's something different, and that's what we felt like, because you have a plan, and then if the next month the plan, if the timing's not right or something's not right with your body, then it's like a whole different plan. So, and I am a planner. I like to like have things set a certain way. So it was a real struggle for me. James is very much more, he's much
Mhm.
more laid back. He can kind of go with the flow. So I think it was definitely much more challenging for me. And then I was it was mainly because of me that I couldn't get pregnant. So then there's that too. When we started that whole journey, because you just have all the feels. But
Sure.
yeah, so we tried with a whole bunch of different things, like after we had been trying,
Mhm.
and I always say, again, I don't know if this is too much, but I always say I just needed those embryos placed where they needed to be. My body just needed them to like
Mhm.
be put where they needed to be. And then my body was like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I'm supposed to do with those things. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, we went through the process, and we had 5 embryos that were viable and were of good
Okay.
quality. They grade them when you're going through that process. And so we transferred Harlow and Lewis right out of the bat, right out of the gate, because I was advanced maternal age, and they were like, the likelihood of this working, they give you percentages. And so they were successful. And then we froze. We had actually 3 embryos.
Okay.
We froze those 3 embryos for about 2.5 years before we did that transfer with the second set. We did what's called a compassion transfer with the second set. It's unique, and certain states won't allow it, but it's where you don't use the same type of medication you would in a normal transfer. So they give them a 2% survival outcome. And
Wow.
and we transferred the three, and we had two successful. In fact, the embryologist, Gina, who is amazing, who I became friends with, she came in that morning and she was like, the two are doing okay, but we're not, it's not looking the greatest, but the one is not gonna make it. And so we decided I still wanted to transfer them and give them the most natural possible way of, with that compassion transfer. It's just the most natural way possible, even though you're using science for the IVF. So we transferred all three.
Wow.
I think it's really cool that you kind of share that journey, even years later, because there's probably a lot of women going through that who probably want to keep it really, close to home and private, which is great in that aspect too. But I think you sharing it will help other people as well. And I know that you have helped people, in these years of you going through that. So I just think that's really cool that you give a little bit of that history and background to what you guys went through.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I hated hearing it during the time of like, oh, it's your journey. It's the plan for you. This is what is supposed to happen. Like when you're going through something so up and down, like it's like the worst possible thing that you could say to somebody. So I hated hearing it. And then like looking back and looking at what happened in our journey, our plan. And it's incredible to look back and see that all unfold. And it feels like people ask what it feels like to have two sets of twins. And I don't really know the answer to that because we were doing it day in and day out. We never like felt like super shocked or super surprised, or like, it was just like one foot in front of the other. And we're just going to keep going and doing us. And yeah. So
I want to talk a little bit about the four kids. It seems like they each have their own little personality, which is so fun to follow along on social media. So talk to me. I know Lewis was recently on the news at the end of the school year for bringing Dapper Day to the school. I want to hear all the things of the kids and their different personalities.
You've got instruments. You've got someone that looks like me. We've got bangs. We've got a whole lot of stuff. We've got a lot of fun things. They've got a lot of personalities.
They're all like, Ariana, they're like so different. They're just like, they're all completely unique and different, and it's awesome. But yeah, Lewis he decided that he wanted to wear a suit. My aunt had bought him a few suits from a rummage sale in the summer of last year. And so he decided he was going to wear a suit every day to school. And he saw on the CBS News, the morning show had, which I love that show, by the way. It's such a great show. But everybody had been sending me this link to this boy who is in second grade. And he had had this Dapper Day at school, and like all the classmates dressed up like him. And he was so like the connection. Lewis was like, that kid is just like me. He dresses up every day. And he's like, I want to have a Dapper Day at my school. And so he had, in his journal, had written down the reasons why the kids would be more successful in school if they dressed up just dressed up every day, and then presented it to the principal, Senora Vic, at his school. So they, and then the fifth grade class voted to go ahead and have Dapper Day. And they like just made it this huge day. And it was so successful, and he was so proud. And it was like it was just the best. Like, I'm so grateful for all of his friends and the school and everybody, that the moms, really, because the moms, I messaged the moms and they were like, we're on it. Our kids are going to be dressing up. And it's just, it's that's
so amazing.
Good. Yeah. And he's our musician. James and I don't know anything about music, and he is our musician through and through.
Guitar, right? He does guitar?
Yeah, guitar. Harlow and Lewis just started playing piano. David Mercer is teaching them piano lessons, which is so cool. So piano, drums, guitar, all the things. And then,
do you play any instruments?
No.
Does James?
No, we know nothing about music.
Well, that's okay though. Look at them.
Yeah.
They're teaching you now.
Yeah.
So going back to the Dapper Day, I know you had posted at the beginning of the year, Lewis was kind of having a hard time, in school when the school year first started. So how did that kind of make you feel, seeing all of that come full circle?
Yeah, Yeah, he did have a rough start. It's just hard when kids are a little bit different than the norm. And we definitely try to celebrate that in our house. We think weird is great. Like I am always telling the kids, if we're weird, it's
Yes.
so good. It's so important to be a little bit different because nobody's the same. So yeah, he rocked his suits and carries a briefcase every day. That he chose to do a briefcase. He said he wanted a briefcase instead of a backpack. When I was purchasing backpacks, he was like, I want a briefcase. Those are hard to come by and they're expensive on Amazon, just to let you know. So we found one from a rummage sale, and then on Facebook Marketplace too. So that was hard because the kids noticed he was dressing and acting different, and whether they were being kind or not, there was both interactions. He was handling it like a champ, and my friend Shanna said it best. You know, what the comeback kid. Like after, like when you said coming full circle, like
That's awesome.
the kids slowly started to get comfortable with the way that he was dressing, and then for him to present this dapper day and for them to accept it, like it's the it's the it's the greatest comeback because it's the best way to show people that different is okay in just a positive way.
Totally. I just feel like Lewis, like when I've messaged you about this on Instagram too. He's just such an old soul. And I love everything that you post of him because he's just like so mature. I'm like, how is he, like his brain is just so smart, but he is still so young. It's just so funny. Like, I think you'd cook something for him and he's like, oh yeah, I'm not a fan of the garlic in here. And I'm just like, how does he know that? Like, it's just so funny to follow along and see the different personalities, like we were saying.
Yeah, he is definitely, you nailed it. He's absolutely an old soul. Like he's smarter. I have to be tricky on when I say that, but I feel like he's smarter than, like, sometimes I like look at him, I'm like, what did you just say? I told him the other day that too much screen time is going to lessen his gray matter in his brain. And I think it really resonated. Like he was like, oh, I was so not so much screen time.
Mom. It's fun when
they
they have such different personalities. And our boys are just 3 years apart. And well, first of all, I always thought I wanted a girl in the mix. But I love being a boy mom, and they're very close together. And honestly, some days I think they're their best friends together. And they have such varied personalities. My oldest, Will, is so structured, by the book, has to know when things are happening, and just needs everything laid out for him, like what you said, kind of like a planner. And so Will is like a Terra and Addie, and Calvin, my youngest, who's 11, is like James, and my husband Drew, very laid back, like just gonna chill, and like things will happen when they happen, and but so successful and just so different. And I think even just from observing them, even when I've met them at farmers markets or at any of our events together or wherever, I feel like it's such a good balance in your household. Don't you feel like you've got just a good balance, not anybody too far on one end of the spectrum versus the other? It's a good balance, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. Like I think that's a gift, right? That you have one of each,
Yeah.
or like in our instance, like a little bit of everything, because you can only handle so
Yeah.
much, right? Before you're like, okay, this
Yeah.
is, but like Davy, who has your bangs, who you look like, right,
Yeah.
Betty? Like
Yeah.
she is such
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
vibe. She is so extra and everything that, like, we
Yeah.
went to Disney World and
Yeah.
that girl floated around Disney World and you thought that she was like a character in her own, like her own movie in Disney World.
My girl.
Like the uncles came with and they were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's her world. We're just in
Well,
it.
even when I saw her doing things like in downtown Sioux Falls over at Child's Play with Nancy, and when she was doing things with them, like even just in her modeling and in her poses, and she is extra, and I love it. And I think it's worth celebrating, to be honest. And I think it's so fun when they are all different and they can celebrate each of their uniqueness. Like you said, like you celebrate weird. And I think it's I think that's it's an awesome quality, because so many times I feel like even in society, we have to, sometimes we're told you should not be celebrating this, or you need to keep quiet about this, or XYZ. And I am to the complete opposite. I think it's great to celebrate the weirdness. I think it's great to celebrate uniqueness and being different. And I think that also goes to say, like, I love it that the kiddos but you have them out and about all the time and they go where you go. And I think so many times I've got friends that are like, oh, we can't take them there because they're going to be too noisy or they're just going to run amok and it's going to be a mess or XYZ. And you don't. I think those kiddos are at a lot of events that you're at. They're at the farmer's market with you. They're at our Dairy Dash event with us. Like they are out and about and loving it. And how do you and James balance that as well as parents?
Yeah, I think that for me as a mom, like I do much better if I can get outside of the house. That's why I do better when I can come to my office and work. Like I know I'm just a much better mom and that I'm a
Sure.
much better person. I feel fulfilled in that capacity. I like the socialization. So like for me, if I can get those kids out of the house to do those things and experience different people, cultures, like all the different, I love our community events. Like I love doing those things and I want them to be a part of it, and they do really like it. And then if they've had enough, we go home. We know when especially our youngest, like he would rather be at home more. So we just have to kind of balance that as best as possible. And there's been times where James leaves with just like our youngest, and then I stay or whatever we needed to do. We try to push him too hard.
So what's big and what's coming up for you? I know you guys just finished the big trip at Disney with the uncles. Anything else big coming up this summer?
Yeah, James and I turned around 2 days after Disney. We flew to Bend, Oregon to see my sister graduate from nursing school, which I'm so proud of her. She worked so hard, and she has my nephew Aspen, and she's working and all the things. And so it was awesome to see her do that. So we just got home on, I don't know what day it is, but we got home on Saturday from Bend, which is a beautiful place. James and I are going to Boston at the end of July.
That's so fun. I love Boston.
Oh yeah, we're really, really excited. And so those are kind of some of the things that we have planned. And then we're likely going to do an addition to our house here. So that's going to be fun.
Wow.
We have some subcontractors coming over this week. So just kind of laid out, but that probably won't be starting until next year. So we'll see about that. But more to come on that. We're creating a space.
All of the busy things.
Yeah. Yeah. In all of our remodels, it's more about the kids and the spaces. Like the kitchen is always so important and their spaces. And then this one would be really for James and I, which is good.
That's awesome. So as you kind of start that journey, where can people follow along and watch your process of that?
Yeah. So thank you for asking. We are at the House of Twins on Instagram, and that's where I post the majority of the things. I post on Facebook for the grandparents, but the Instagram there's an overwhelming amount of stories that I share there. So if you want to follow along, that's where you can find us. We're working with some really great people on this edition, and it hopefully it'll be fun. It will be really exciting. So
a lot of good inspiration, friends. If you have not followed the House of Twins on Insta, there's a lot of inspiration too out there from
all of the home inspiration
decor,
gives me life.
Yeah, family, food, you've got it all out there. You got a lot going on, which is good.
She even has her kids making sourdough.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool.
Yeah. Grammy and I, he's a good little baker. Talk about like he's my little chef in the making. My dad is a really good cook and he seems to be picking up on that. So I don't know, he really likes it. I think like the slow moving and like just working with our hands. So yeah, it's been a fun the whole bread making.
I just got into the sourdough. Ariana knows this, but I just do not. I thought I would have the attention span to make a loaf, but 14 hours for one loaf, I can't do it. I have baked other things. I still have my starter. I still have all my discard in the fridge. Like we'll be making some things, but bless you and the kiddos for spending that time making one loaf. I just have not been able to gather myself to do it.
I am not a baker or a cook or anything like that. I like simple recipes.
See, I'm not either. And then those kids, they get you out of your box and then you're like, okay, outside of your comfort zone. Addie, I'll send you a couple of recipes of easy ones.
I love it. Then I'll make some for the office maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. Before we wrap up, there's always these questions. Ariana has these questions here in the stack here that are whittling down every week. I don't know what's on these questions at all. So we like to just spur one random card out of the deck here at you, and we'll see what the question is. But Then you have to answer it, Terra.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Okay. So we'll see. Oh, what was your very first job?
Oh, I worked at the old ice cream shop across from the Corn Palace in Mitchell.
Oh, fun.
I was really bad at it. You'd think that it would be so easy, and I was really bad at it because it was back in the day where I'm so bad at math and you couldn't use a calculator. She would not let me use a calculator, and I had to figure out all the things in my head. So I wasn't bad at the scooping part, but the math part was always really hard.
It was like scoop, or it was not soft serve. It was scooping.
It was scooping. Mm-hmm.
My first job was also at an ice cream shop.
Was it at like a big chain or like a small little?
Marble Slab, which is like similar to Cold Stone, where you have like all of the toppings. So we had to make all the ice cream there. So it was kind of a hard job, I tell people, because there was just like recipes. I just said I wasn't good at recipes. Like all of the things where if you're making mint, it can't have too much mint in it. And it was hard, but it was fun.
Wow,
yeah.
I do not have that in common with either of you. It sounds fun, no? Maybe, I don't know, hard, but maybe, I don't know.
I was allowed to use a calculator, though. That I would have gotten fired right away if I...
Yeah, like I wasn't able to use a calculator. It was fun, like the people, because there was always like tourists coming in to see the Corn Palace, and it was just like right across the street.
Yeah, that's fun.
So that part was fun, and I like to talk all the time with them. But yeah, the calculator part, I was like, how about 50?
Just like, 1 second. Carry the 2, subtract, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, she is on Instagram. I wonder if she'll listen to this. Yeah.
I was just going to say, you, I think all three of us actually, this trifecta here would be great at talking and scooping. We just could pass it on to the next person, almost like you have a space, right? Like we're the greeters. We're going to scoop. We're going to talk, get you what you need. How's your day? And then you're going to pass you off to the next person to manage the other part, right? We're kind of like the intro hostess, scooper people.
Exactly.
Everything else, we're just going to pass on down to the next person.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love it. Well, thank you for joining us this week, Terra. Thanks, Ari, for joining us too. This was fun. I know you two have connected
for having me.
a lot over the last year, but for those of you tuning in, be sure to watch every other Thursday on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can also find us on YouTube. But tune in the next couple weeks and we'll be back. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncorked and Unscripted. Make sure to follow and rate this podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Stay connected with us by following us on social media at Uncorked Unscripted on Instagram and Facebook, and at Uncork Unscript on Twitter and TikTok. And if you really enjoyed this episode, do us a huge favor and send it to a friend. See you soon. Bye.